Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been ages since I've done obviously a cloud native news. It feels like it. But what I've done is I've picked some of the more recent events that are probably the most relevant when it comes to open source and open standards. Okay, well these slides are going to be slightly off and slightly squiffed. Thank you. It's all good. This is one of those downs we were talking about. So this is another Broadcom pivot, is what it said behind there, I believe. What they've done is, for people who use Kubernetes, general cloud native computing, Bitnami originally hosted a bunch of charts. These are like deployment instructions, workload instructions, and they built a massive catalog and became sort of default artifact store for a lot of how these workloads get deployed. Think like web servers and databases, etc. They've pulled a fast one. So what they've done is they've gone, actually all of that stuff that we've developed out in the open, we're going to stop doing that, and we're going to move all of this into a legacy place. And from going forward, we're going to develop these new secure containers, secure charts, and you're going to have to pay to get access to them. But you can still access the legacy ones, you just have to change the name in the URL that you're accessing them on within all of your workload. So overnight, if you don't change it, the path to access this is just going to fail. So everyone has to then make a conscious decision of going into all of their workloads and changing it to Bitnami Legacy / or instead of Bitnami Secure. The other thing they've done is they will be allowing certain images that they build in the secure hardened place to be accessible, but you're only going to get the latest tag, which means from a production point of view that's useless, because it means each time you bring out a new instance it's just going to take the latest. So latest 2 weeks ago is a completely different version to latest today. So it's a real, it's a pain point, and it's, in my opinion, just a continuation of Broadcom's strategy. There's going to be a lot of work and there's going to be a lot of disruption around this. But it does go into that sense of who is, ongoing stewardship of open source, and what does that look like. Google OSS rebuild. So this is an interesting project. So a number of meetups ago, I did a brief overview of the XZ backdoor, where someone was able to inject a malicious dependency into a technology chain, which would have led to a quite catastrophic sort of vulnerability being pushed out, which got caught very last moment. This project is a sort of is a response to that, where what Google are doing is they're going to take some of the more popular code package repositories like Python and NPM, and they're going to take their build definitions and they are going to build it on their own infrastructure. And what they're going to do at the end is they're going to generate something called an SLSA, which is a service. It is a service agreement. Supply chain level service agreement, which is a particular type of file, provenance file, that will say this is what it should be. In our closed environment, our secure environment, we built it, this is what it should look like. So when you download it from the public repo, you've got something to compare it to. So if it's been compromised, or it's been built differently, or someone's done something to it, you'll be able to know. So the package maintainers don't have to change anything, and Google are providing this as a side project. And I think it's a really important step forward to sort of increase trust in open source software. Talking of open source software, another company, Microsoft Open Source, is WSL, which is the Windows subsystem for Linux. So if you've ever brought up Linux on your Windows machine, or you've had to do anything with Linux or WSL on your machine, they have open sourced one of the last major components of that. So now pretty much most of the stack is now completely open source. The interesting thing is, when this was released all those years ago, the very first thing on this, before it was fully open source, but the very first issue that was created was, when is this going to be open sourced? And so they are quite happy that they're able to finally close issue 1 off on their repo. And just lastly, a sort of general overview. CNCF, Cloud and Compute Foundation, on a mid-year review. Focus shifts from raw infra to polished developer platforms. So people are now starting to piece things together and really focus on platform-orientated architecture rather than providing raw infrastructure. Outside of Cube, we have OpenTelemetry, Backstage, Argo CD, and Flux. So these things being, well, open telemetry being about telemetry, but backstage Argo CD and Flux being very much more about the developer and deployment sort of user experience. And surprise, surprise, a more focus on AI as epicenter on the GPU ML ops for Kubeflow. So Kubeflow being one of the major projects that's being used to orchestrate AI workloads on top of Kubernetes. And the last is CNCF tightens project health checks and user maintainer feedback loops, because there are a number of large projects now going through. It's got very wide. CNCF as a foundation has got very wide. There's a lot of projects which have gone through to graduation, and so now they're starting to tighten up some of the loops around this sense of maintainership, stewardship. These things have gone through the process, they've successfully been adopted, and now they're tightening up how these things can be locked in for the future and maintained in the future. So they've tightened that control loop up. And yeah, that's it for me. I'll hand it back to Paul. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.